Use the table below for a 20-year adjustable rate mortgage of $173,000 with a beginning interest rate of 5%, increasing 1% in year 2 and then increasing another 2% in year 3. The question is, what is the initial monthly payment? Well, first, the whole thing is based on being able to read this table. We've done this before. The way they write these tables, they tell you that these are monthly payments based on borrowing just $1,000. Well, the problem asks us for the initial monthly payment. Well, that's in the beginning. That's the very first year of the adjustable rate mortgage. It's going to go up by 1% in the second year, and it's going to go up another 2% in the third year. But they're asking us about the initial monthly payment, so we're using the 5% value. That tells us to use this row, the 5% row. It's a 20-year mortgage, so that tells us to use the 20-year column, and obviously the intersection gives us the monthly payment of a $1,000 loan. So if we only borrowed $1,000, we'd be done. The monthly payment would be $660. However, we actually borrowed $173,000. So what you have to do is figure out how many thousands there are in $173,000. You can essentially do this in your head, but you're saying how many $1,000 loans does $173,000 represent? And of course, it's 173. So the amount we're actually borrowing, $173,000, is like taking out 173 small $1,000 loans. So all you have to do to get the answer is take the number of $1,000 loans that big amount breaks into and multiply it by the table value that you found, which is the monthly payment for just borrowing $1,000. So the solution is simply 173 multiplied by your table value of 660. And when you do that product, you'll get 1141.80. In other words, the monthly payment of a 20-year mortgage at 5%, borrowing $173,000, would be $1,141.80. Okay. They're going to ask us another question, but just keep in mind how all this works. Now they're asking this question here. It says make a rough estimate of the monthly payment for year 3 by recalculating the payments on the original amount for 20 years using the new interest rate. Well, we've got to figure this out, though. They say in year 3. Well, that would be here, year 3. It started out 5%. It went up by 1%. That would take it to 6%. And then it went up another 2% in year 3. So by year 3, the interest rate would be 8%. So they're saying just get a rough estimate of what the third year will be by just assuming that the whole loan was at 8% for the whole time. Out of a 20-year time period, the first 2 years were actually less than 8%, but you get a rough estimate by just assuming the whole 20 years was at 8%. So once you understand that, you're back to the same problem. You're still looking at the 20-year column, but now the interest rate is 8%, so you're looking at the last row. So the only thing different is that the monthly payment on a $1,000 loan now would be $8.36. So as before, we need to find out how many $1,000 loans $173,000 represents, and we just did it. It was $173,000 divided by 1,000, which is 173. So it's the same multiplier. The only thing different is you're multiplying by a new monthly payment. Since the interest rate went to 8%, obviously the monthly payment would be higher. If you multiply those two values, you get $1,446.28. And they're saying this is a rough estimate because because they're saying just assume that the whole 20 years was at 8%, when in reality the first year would have been 5, the second year would have been 6. But over the course of 20 years, those first 2 years aren't going to change it too much. So a quick estimate would be $1,446.28.